So, the third game, currently 2-0 to EDG, and they ban away the Ryze, Trundle, and Ziggs. The reason why they're banning away this Ryze is because they want to take Lee Sin first pick, and they don't want to give Ryze over in R1, R2. We also have a Trundle come through, just because Trundle beats the majority of kind of early skirmishing junglers due to the fact that he takes away their AD, and AP junglers have a lot less HP and no real survivability. We do see the Aurelia, LeBlanc, and Renekton banned away. This Renekton ban's really grief considering Flandre has performed on Jace in 2 games in a row now. So that's completely grief. Let's see what they get from the side of these. We'll probably see Aphelios and Thresh, considering it isn't banned out from either team. They are going to prioritize the Olaf into the Lee. It's not the end of the world. They'll take Aphelios here though. Oh, they're actually taking TF. Now, the reason why this is a bit risky, though, is because TF is great, and it does restrict him from going the LeBlanc just a little bit, but taking in a mobile mid laner this early in the draft is going to open them up for serious issues this game. Now, they do have an Olaf, who is a big early game kind of jungler as well, but if he doesn't focus this mid lane right here, this draft is already going really, really bad for the side of WE, especially considering now they might give away the Aphelios Thresh to the side of EDG and they may play it. I think they will just go with the Varus instead, since it is open and that's what Viper is just playing non-stop, since it's so strong and it enables your top side. So we'll probably see some of the Varus come out here. Maybe we see a Syndra too, since Syndra can get quite a lot of pressure onto the TF, which is another reason it's a little bit risky. Okay, so Scout just wants to go nuts. So what he is committing to here is the fact that TF will get push advantage and he'll be able to get into his lane. But as a kind of Silas, you are free to literally just go around the map and do whatever you want. You can just kind of go crazy. We also see a Jace come out again. I don't know why they didn't ban it. It's actually insane. So now we see from the side of WE so now they're probably just going to look to ban away. I mean, it's kind of even right now. We've got complete top side, so maybe they look to ban away Aphelios for the side of EDG, but WE might be able to take it in R4 here. Oh, they're going to ban away the Thresh. This is really intriguing, because this means that they're not going to go for the Aphelios, which means EDG don't actually need to ban it. So now they're just looking to ban things away from the bot side that might cause problems. Now what WE might do here, which might be pretty clever, is they might use their top side and enable them by actually taking the Varus on R4 here. So EDG could actually be in a kind of awkward position where they end up having to take something else into the Varus. We see the Kalista band away just because, it's very good at keeping your support from dying. Maybe we'll see something like an Alistair band come in to get it away from Maiko right now. And then, if we see, for example, like a Braum or Leona ban from the side of EDG, then there's only one support for WE to take, so they'll just go for that tier 1. So Varus does get banned, so they're not planning on taking it, which means they might actually look to take away the Ezreal instead and stop EDG getting that. But if they do take Ezreal, maybe they do something crazy and, go something like Kai'Sa. Okay, so we get the Braum taken away here. Now, it's just going to be responded with the Leona, though, which, means that, Braum is pretty good into Leona, but Leona can just leave lane if we get, like, an Ezreal come in here. So maybe we just get the... oh, okay, maybe they do take away the Aphelios. So the only problem is Aphelios is going to be kind of restricted on who we can play with. If they don't go something like Lulu here, though, this could be huge. I'm a very big fan. Okay, so they do get the Ezreal out. I mean, they do go with the Aphelios and the Alistar, which again, I mean, it completely works. I mean, Alistar is a tier 1 support, and Aphelios is very strong. Okay, so in terms of comps, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't think the TF can ever function in this lane because you've got the 2v2 of Olaf TF against the 2v2 of Silas and Lee Sin, which Silas and Lee Sin will win that 2v2, even though Silas will kind of get pushed in due to the fact that if he does get pushed in, that's what he wants. So, you know, I do much prefer their 2v2, even though I do really like TF. But the problem is I feel like TF only has one option here, and that's to go into the top lane. Now the problem with this is that the Jace will give Camille quite a hard time in this lane unless she can get on top of him, because again, an all-in champ into a poke champ, very, very rough. So I do think that they just win. Sorry, I was arranging things for the games later. Right, so, I mean, already, pretty standard game. Nothing's really jumping out so far. We get a little bit of aggression on bot lane, but it's really not going to mean that much. Now, one of the reasons why this is kind of a little rough too is because, obviously, this ends up putting Aphelios in a position where he is 1v2 in the lane, because at level 1, Alistar, he just really cannot do anything. Alistar cannot function early game in a 1v in like a 2v2. So because he can't really function inside of a 2v2 at level 1 anyway, he has to wait to kind of get that level 2 spike. So this is something that is, you know, very... It's a clear weakness of Alistar, and it's something that can be very, very heavily punished, because once bot lane initially get that priority, it's very, very hard for you to let that up due to the fact that, you know, Alistar can't really do as much at level 2. But here we see from Scout, and this is the reason why the TF matchup just isn't that great, because if he can get on top of him to land that E, the Lee Sin wasn't even here then, and if he can get on top of him to land that, then he can do so much due to the fact that TF is immobile. We will probably see some boots come out very, very early from the TF just so that he has more movement speed. To be honest, in this kind of game, I wouldn't even mind seeing kind of like swiftness boots out of him, just so that you can have a lot of movement speed in lane without that movement speed being broken, for example with Moby boots. So this is, you know, a really, really big thing to this matchup. But again, one thing here as well is the Silas is allowed to just rotate. I mean, he can just sack waves off and go rotate into any area he wants due to the fact that he's Silas, and you know, he can play very aggressively due to the fact that he gets so much healing out of his W. So before people get a Grievous Twin is really important. Now, as we can see here, the Lee Sin, he did skip his walls just because it take a little bit of time, and he knew Blue and Gromp at the same time so that he can get on top of the Scuttle Crab earlier, due to the fact that that's one of the only ways that you can make up the speed difference between Olaf's clear and your clear. So we do see a little bit of a CS lead in terms of top lane as well, just because, you know, Camille wants kind of two areas where she wants the lane to be. One of the areas is here where it currently is, and one of the areas is here. Now this is so she gets access to both of these walls so she can use them as an all-in. Without them, it's a little bit rougher to all in as Camille, to say the least. But as we can see now, this is another thing with Jace. Jace is a melee champion, so he has the ability to skirmish like a melee champion, but he also has the range of a ranged champion, which means he becomes very aggressive in lane, very oppressive, and he can do a massive amount. So even after she farms these 6 minions, she's still going to be down about nearly 2 waves, which is very, very bad this early into the game. Now, the positive to taking Camille here, though, is that later on into the game, she will be much stronger in a side lane than the Jace if he doesn't snowball. So she will have the ability to do quite a lot, and she does have 2 biscuits. I'm not really too sure why she take those biscuits, but you know, they help. They help, but not too bad. So I mean, pretty slow around. Lee Sin does not want to go for this, especially considering he's still got 2 stacks on his smite, and Olaf will always be able to outsmite him if he gets on top of it. So he really has to be careful of that. That's really something that you have to avoid. Now, we do see Shanks getting completely poked out. The Jace did actually make a rotation down considering he pushed his wave in, and now GG can get this considering his bot lane do actually have priority. So this is good because the Mountain Dragon is a massive amount of free stats. 6% is huge, especially if you do build resistances, which everybody will build some of considering they do have an AD threat in the side of kind of Camille, Olaf and Ezreal. Even though Camille does have true damage, we see an ultimate come through, and this is one of the big things about this matchup. Scout can just steal TF's ultimate and do exactly what TF wants to do, but kind of better. So at this point, honestly, even like, I mean, we know EDG win, right? But I think, again, the comp difference, taking the Olaf multiple games in a row, and the Camille, and then this also makes the Braum kind of off. Oh, okay, so here you can see he just gets completely blown up. Like, TF just can't really play in this matchup. It's just too difficult. And just because Silas's E has such a long range. And, you know, EDG have got the Aphelios this time into the Ezreal, which means, you know, he will outscale him massively as well. We see the tier 2 boots. This makes it much easier for him to kind of dodge those skill shots. He is on red-white right now. Is he going to fight? Let's find out. You can see that he really, really wants to. So we're just waiting to see if the Braum gets in range for Alistair to WQ him, which I don't think he will. But, you know, he is definitely trying. Manages to last hit that cannon. It's nice to see supports wait until cannons are actually low HP before they take them. And now, you know, Lee Sin is free to kind of do what he wants. He's got bot camps available, so I think he should just give up this Herald and take his bot camps and then Olaf's bot camps and just get massive off it. If he gets that much gold and denies it from the Olaf, then even if he gets his Herald, if the Lee Sin goes instantly and ganks this or looks to dive this Braum, since, you know, it's a little bit different. Braum doesn't function the same as Alistair. Alistair makes ganks, tower dives almost impossible due to the fact he has so many repositional tools. Especially out of his W, it throws a long range. But we can see here that he does actually manage to get on top of the Ezreal. We do have the sniper come through. He does actually get a massive amount of damage, but the exhaust comes through. But Mako is taking a lot in return. Now, Viper on the Aphelios does manage to trade back quite a lot of damage, and Shanks is nearly dead again. So, I've said a lot of praise for Shanks in the past. I do think he is a very good player, but I feel like when he's playing against like some of the greats, he does have a little bit of a rough time now. I think he's been griefed in draft in all 3 of these games, to be honest. I think EDG's drafting has just been infinitely better, and it just goes to show how important your support staff is for your team as well, because a lot of these kind of comps so far, like, how are they ever meant to function into this? Like, they just don't have enough damage. I mean, they have damage, but they don't have enough ability to actually get that damage off. And we can see GG coming down to try and get this Scuttle Crab away, but he has a massive amount of camps available. So right now he should just be looking to clear off those camps as quick as he can, just so that he can get to his Gore Drinker, which is going to give him a lot of survivability in these fights. Now, one of the reasons why Gore Drinker is so good as well is because Camille, Olaf and Braum are all melee. So they'll all kind of be walking into him, which means he'll be able to get Gore Drinker on at least 3 people, which is massive. So Alistair does get another headbutt, but he's just getting it to try and kind of push Ezreal away from here. We do see a potential gank come in from Beishang, but I think EDG are just too strong. So one of the big things with Graviton and your Flamethrower is you can kind of get them with Flamethrower and then just Graviton too. It just means that you can do a massive amount of damage. Flamethrower is also one of the highest damage guns that Aphelios can rotate into, so he is actually really, really close to his ultimate. So maybe we actually see him. No, he's just going to reset, spend all his gold, just because after spending that. Oh, this was an amazing ultimate from the side of Ezreal. So, I mean, right now, this game is very heavily in favor of EDG, and their comp will allow them to kind of do a lot later on too. So, we do get a pick onto the Braum by GG. Unfortunately, he's really not going to have enough damage to kill him off, not on his own anyway. But he does have Gore Drinker in base, so he's going to look to reset, get that. He did manage to steal the red buff away from Olaf too, so I think. Yeah, he did. So, I wish I knew what that said, but I have no idea. And I'm not learning Chinese. Sorry. I don't know if that's Mandarin, Cantonese, no idea. But we do see a really, really big dive coming from the side of top. Scout does manage to get on top of them, but it is an Olaf who is ulted. He's really not going to be able to do anything there. A little bit of a waste of TP, so... So, again, I think EDG is just in a very, very good position right now. They do get a really nice dive from WE on this top lane. Now, Scout does completely waste his TP to actually get there, which again, they just love wasting resources. So this is the thing, like, if you just take a super heavy, like, dive, like, top dive comp against someone like EDG, then they actually have a lot of ability to do things. And now the problem is, I think one of the main strats that's going to be used to beat these kind of teams, these big teams, is going to literally just be to abuse top as much as possible. Now, this is where I think Dan1 are in a really good position, because a lot of these top laners, especially from LPL, they're really not up to standard of their counterparts on the team. Like Breathe, for example, plays okay sometimes, but sometimes he just completely ends. We did see him have a really, really pop-off GP game, but I just don't think it's enough. Flandre does play kind of well, but he plays kind of well when he gets his tier 1 picks. So you ban the Jace away from them, and you have a much better kind of opportunity to do a lot into them. And as we can see here, Scout has TF's ultimate again, so he's just trying to look to push this wave out now. Unfortunately, TF can push it out way faster, and he actually has a Braum here to back him up, so Scout will probably just look to clear this wave and then look to go into a side lane. So he can instantly move here, and the reason he can instantly move here is because mid lane is only actually 22 seconds long for the minions in comparison to 32 for the side lanes. So see, we do get these picks come off, and again, this is the thing with Silas. He has so many tools for locking people up, especially when he gets his Everfrost, and he's an incredibly strong mid laner. So, all round, pretty damn good. We see this tower does get pushed down here. And yeah, I mean, this is fairly good for, good for both teams, to be honest. I mean, EDG's already got a slight lead, and I think that, yeah, they managed to get that first turret before bot lane. They just don't have the push power the top lane does, so they will end up returning this turret, especially considering there's a cannon wave coming in now. It makes it very, very easy for them. But yeah, overall, pretty good play from the side of EDG. Again, like I said, using that Silas to quickly clear out the wave and then use TF's ult against him. Now, the funny thing is, in this game, I feel like Silas has used TF's ult better than TF has used TF's ult. So this just does go to show the kind of skill difference inside the mid lane. And I mean, if I was Shanks, I would be very scared as well. I mean, you're playing into one of the best mid laners in the world. So here we can see a replay of this. Jace obviously starts a fight. TP comes in from the TF. Now this was good. He used the Everfrost in a way that even if she flashed, she wouldn't be able to get away from it. And then he changed that into his chains, funny enough. So, I mean, all round really, really good play from the side of Scout to just secure that. So GG, you know, at this point, he's kind of done his job. He's kind of got people snowballing, and, you know, he's managed to relieve pressure from points of the map that he needed to. I do think he's kind of quite heavily outplayed Beishang in this game, just because I feel like the thing with this matchup is GG understands his lanes more, whereas Beishang understands the jungle more, which, you know, there's an argument for both of them being good, but, I mean, overall, pretty good. So missing, yeah, no, just gets caught. Aphelios manages to catch him, and he will instantly die. Unfortunately, that goes to GG instead of the Aphelios. But we also see that the Ezreal, you know, is getting poked significantly by this Jace, which again, like, why did they leave it through 3 games in a row? If he's played it in 2 games, he's gonna play it in the 3rd. Like, come on, it's a tier 1 pick. Like, what were WE's coaches? So we do see kind of this siege coming through. They do use the Herald in order to pop this. I mean, that tower is a nice 600 gold, but that's not the objective for EDG this game. They're really not in a position where they can contest them for this dragon right now, which means that, you know, they're just going to clear this way. They're going to get that 3rd ocean. That's going to go into a, you know, a massive amount of lead for the side of EDG, and they do manage to get that ocean dragon away, which is going to get them to that soul. It's it's looking very bad for WE, especially considering ocean soul is such a strong soul to get as well. The amount of mana that it gives back is kind of broken, and, you know, this is going to help the Jace, you know, force a lot in. So, Ezreal is just coming in just to get some vision, potentially look to trim the wave off. We also see, you know, this is all around pretty good. It's very, very hard with a comp like this to come back as a team, as WE. I mean, they don't really have enough AD damage, considering Camille didn't get ahead, Olaf didn't really get ahead, and the Ezreal is kind of their only hope, but again, Ezreal doesn't output anywhere as much damage as the Aphelios will, so it just becomes very, very difficult, because, I mean, Ezreal's kind of point where he needs to stay safe is kind of, you know, it's sort of over now. He has a team to help him now, and that's a good thing with an all-in comp is that when they run in, if this Ezreal was replaced with a Jinx, then that's a little something different, because if Jinx can actually put in a ton of work in a team fight, and you'd also have this TF with his rapid fire soon in order to get her picks, but the fact that they chose Ezreal here, it just doesn't really work as much. I mean, Jinx is going to have a harder time into Aphelios, don't get me wrong, but, like, I don't know, when both of your solo lanes are countered, like, you need an ADC that can at least make up for that counter later on into the game, so that you can play defensive and just wait for that scaling to come through. Because all that's going to happen in this game now is EDG are just going to keep pushing waves out, clearing jungle, especially the enemy jungle if they get the opportunity. They're going to control these side lanes, and then as soon as 2 minutes comes along, well, 2 minutes 40, they're just going to push this mid in, get prio, and they get soul. And then at that point, they can just fight them over and over. If they take a load of damage from a fight, it's fine. As long as they don't die, which they have tools not to, in things like the Alistair and the Lee Sin kick and the acceleration gate from Jace, they'll actually be in a position where they can just get out and, you know, play very, very safe. So, yeah, I mean, the Aphelios has picked up Gale Force this game as well. That's how confident he is that there's no way that the enemy team are going to be able to get into him. Now, this is also going to be to dodge things like the Camille E, and, you know, I mean, even things like Ezreal, all so that he can position before the TF card hits him. But, I mean, the likelihood is this is going to be more so Mythic that he's taken for the damage that it provides. Now, since you have a Sylas here and a Jace, they can both get them low, and then all Aphelios needs to do is ult a big team fight and then Gale Force in. The thing with Gale Force is it will prioritize the lowest HP target, and it is also an execute. So due to the fact it's an execute and it does that, it means that, you know, he can just single one person out and do a massive amount of damage to him. As we can see, Jace is using his gate to help him get out of the base as well, so he gets a bit more movement speed. Obviously, Jace is super quick on his own. Anyway, the TF still hasn't managed to get his rapid fire cannon, which is big, because until he gets that rapid fire cannon, he's a little bit doomed. So we can see here, EDG are just trying to get away as much as they possibly can, but Scout manages to get a really nice E on top of Elk. Aphelios does use his ultimate, but I actually think that got cancelled by the Braum E. Breed tried steeping in, but Flandre manages to catch him, and he just runs him down. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Scout is going crazy. A really nice stopwatch allows him to survive long enough that he can just run them down even more. And the thing is, as well, I think he also bought Zhonya's without using his stopwatch there, which means he can actually do a lot with that. Due to the fact that he can now buy a stopwatch. Oh no, he's just going raw damage. That's also respectable. But yeah, you can get a stopwatch, and I'm not sure if he did use stopwatch on its own, but you can use Zhonya's and stopwatch together. Now, TF does have his rapid fire cannon right now, but he's 22 minutes into the game. It's really not going to be as good for him now as it was before, and I mean, the Scout has at least 1250 gold up on top of TF as well, so it's really not looking good for the side of WE. So we do have a TP ult come in. He does manage to catch Flandre. He uses his Everfrost as well. Does manage to get out by jumping to it. They're just trying to body block for him as much as possible. But the Dragon, what a traitor. The Dragon for the soul just cheated him out of it. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to get it. They do actually stop them getting the soul just because I mean, Flandre did get caught in that kind of situation. He used his flash and it still didn't matter, but they do still have a lot of poke here. We do have Beishan coming around the back, which is very scary. It's a 5v4 situation. This is not looking very good for the side of EDG. Everybody is going to drop. GG does manage to get out on his own, but this was very, very bad. This all came down to the fact that Flandre got caught way too soon, and you just hate to see it. They're still in a very dominating situation, and they are going to potentially still be able to win this game out. But overall, really, really bad for the side of EDG. I mean, WE might look for the Baron here. I don't think they're in a position they can do it, because, I mean, Jace can just come and poke out, but if he decides to not, then actually they can just do it. We don't have any TP out of Scout either, so it's not like he can get here and help, so they're just going to give it away. So now they do have to defend from a Baron again. Now, they did do this last game, though, and it did work, but here we see a pro view. Jace just jumps on top, stops his TP with his E, and does a massive amount of damage. She does use her E to get away. Weird sidestep from him, but, you know, here we see that he has to flash instantly to get away from the TF just because he's so split from his team. Really, really bad. Like, his positioning is just terrible here. And then the Dragon ends up getting him, even though Lee Sin does use his Iron Will to give him a bit of a shield. It just really isn't enough, and now we can see that they're going to chase him down. As WE, they get the Dragon, and, you know, there's not really much the side of EDG can do. They're one man down, and Flandre is a massive component to their kind of their fight at this point. You know, Camille jumps in, and now they do manage to get this all-in comp to work, purely because they have a numbers advantage. Aphelios does try and do some damage, but Braum is such a big counter to Aphelios, so very, very hard for them to do anything. We see another fight coming in. GG manages to land his Q, but he's not going to commit to it. So, I mean, there's a lot of abusable things from the side of EDG that can be abused at Worlds. I really don't think that this is a... The more I watch EDG, the more I realize that I don't think they're going to be able to win Worlds. But then, again, we still haven't seen the grand finals between FPX and EDG, so we can't make that statement without having resources or experience to back it up. But I mean, against WE, I mean, WE is also a very, very talented team. Don't get me wrong. I think Shanks and Beishang are really good in the 2v2. But when their coaches are drafting so awfully for them, like, it's very difficult for them to actually pull through and make any kind of leeway. So we do see Ezreal come out, just 2 damages, managed to catch Elk, does quite a lot. Braum does look to try and catch out Scout, but a nice Zhonya's, and he will be able to just E away, uses W. Okay, he's, you know, not going to die, because that W heals so much. Didn't even have flash there, didn't matter. Mako does drop here, though, and they are sieging the base. Are WE going to win this game? Maybe. Maybe. So WE potentially could win this game off this push. They have taken the inhib here, which does mean that they are considering themselves in a game-ending position, which I really don't think they are, considering this next dragon is going to really determine everything. If EDG manage to get this dragon, then this is going to be huge, but it is 1 minute away, and there is super minions pushing in mid lane. Now, Aphelios does have the ability to clear waves out very, very fast, but is that going to be enough? So we do see him pushing mid through here, and this is the Braum manages to get his Q off. He does manage to Zhonya's to dodge a lot, but we do see the ult come in from Ezreal. We do see him get that W off, which manages to heal him for enough HP though that he doesn't die. But Maiko still dies, and it's really bad. So at this point, they're just going to try and force a fight. They're going to try and poke them out as much as possible and try and get a catch. I mean, this is actually a good time for the Lee Sin to go in, due to the fact that there's nobody else here at this point. Obviously, they don't know that because they don't have vision, but at this point in the game, they can easily just kind of potentially force a fight here. We do have a Rabadon's come through for the Silasor, which is huge. He's going to be outputting so much damage in these fights now. We see some wards coming in mid lane just in case they lose the push, and they manage to clear their mid lane wards out. So GG does get picked by TF, but that is not their target, and they've made this mistake so many times before that they try and pick out GG, and then the rest of the team just go nuts. They're going to look to just push out this mid lane though. And then they're going to look to I mean, WE is sat. The Dragon Scout manages to use Camille ult to end up locking someone down. But again, this fight is actually looking kind of good for EDG. They managed to get a pick on the Camille. Breathe does die, ends up forcing his GA. Beishang is very, very low. There's not much he can do in this team fight now. And we do get a catch come through against Scout, but he has double Zhonya's, which we did predict earlier that he didn't use that Zhonya's, and it really came in clutch here. The fact that WDE didn't take that into consideration, it doesn't really matter that they got this dragon here. They can potentially look to push down mid now, 4v2, and potentially get this inhib, trade the inhib. That means that there'll be a better respawn time. GG does jump in to try and do some damage, but Viper is just going to run them down on the Aphelios. WE completely wiped by EDG. Now, this was huge. Scout played this perfectly. Like we were previously saying, due to the fact that Scout actually built this Zhonya's without using his stopwatch here, this replay, this is going to be a really, really long one though. We see Scout jump in to try and get the Ezreal again. He just eats away. He uses the Camille ult to lock down the Braum, but then Olaf does start going kind of crazy in the backline. Camille does get knocked out of the way though and isolated, which means they can just easily pop her GA. Aphelios with a really, really big ult here. He manages to use his flamethrower too, which is one of the highest damaging ults. Scout does get jumped on here and he's Zhonya's, and they sit around waiting for him, and then he uses stopwatch straight after, and this buys him enough time that his W is completely off cooldown and he manages to heal up off that. They then keep fighting. Breathe jumps in for some unknown reason, and they do manage to jump over the Silas uses his E, and then Lee Sin jumps to him. Obviously he's very, very low, but Lee Sin does use his body to try and kind of avoid them jumping on top of him, and then the Aphelios gets here in time and just kills Elk straight away. Missing also dies, and now they're going to look to get pressure off this Baron and look to kind of play around this. Unfortunately, EDG didn't manage to get that dragon there away from WE, so that is a bit of a saving grace. But now they're just going to look to try and burn this Baron down as quick as possible. Is it going to be a 50-50? This is a very bad thing to take, especially into an Olaf. EDG are just going to back out and try and conserve some of their HP. TF uses Destiny to see where they are and reposition it into a point where he can, you know, get pressure on them. But this just really isn't going to be enough. GG does manage to get a Q, but he's not going to commit to it due to the fact that Braum does have his ultimate, and that does completely counter Lee Sin's kick right now. Breathe comes and gets vision control of Baron again, which is also a really, really big thing. And Viper, you know, he does have the ability to just clear these waves out instantly, and this is one of the reasons why Aphelios is such a good pick as an ADC, due to the fact that he does have the ability to, you know, just insta-clear these waves, which is incredibly important in a game like this where the kind of push power really will determine who ends up winning. Now, WE have managed to get a Baron before, and they really didn't manage to close the game out for it. And now the amount of farm that EDG have managed to get from this inhib being dropped is really not worth like even contemplating. WE taking this inhib when they weren't in a winning position is very, very bad, because it's about to respawn right now and EDG are actually in a winning position, especially considering they are still on 3 dragons. Again, Lee Sin manages to throw a Q out. It's really not going to do that much, but you know, at least it's a little bit of damage. But this Jace EQ is what really matters now. Ezreal does probably have Bloodline in his runes right now, so he is healing up by quite a lot. GG does kind of jump in to try and do something there, but he doesn't manage to actually get a kick on anyone. But as you can see now, there's no supers inside the mid lane. EDG are just looking to try and force a fight here as much as they can, especially considering their team fight is much better and they have this poke potential out of the side of Jace. Massive, massive disrespect for them to not ban the Jace in this game as well. The fact that they thought they could play against it when they've lost 2 times in a row is really bad. Now what EDG are going to do is they're going to go towards this top side and get complete vision control of this area and see now if WE will walk into them. There is a ward here that they haven't spotted, which is really, really sloppy from the side of EDG. GG does go to jump in. Scout does manage to get a pick on missing, but it's not too good. He actually does manage to use a Braum ult and his Everfrost in order to just pick him off entirely. Aphelios with a massive 4-man ult on 4 remaining team members of WE. You can see that Gale Force coming aggressively for him to try and kind of get a pick on somebody there, but just not quite in range. GG does jump in, but he can just jump straight back out with his W instantly and then straight in again with his Q. This is the thing with Lee Sin, the mobility that he provides is so big, and now they are just going to get this dragon at this Baron and the dragon. What's probably going to happen here is they'll probably send Jace down to get the dragon alone, while 4 of the enemy, well, 4 of EDG's side go and take the Baron. So that vision controller was a little bit sloppy from them. I'm not gonna lie. So, I mean, if Silas isn't banned, you can't take TF into Scout. He will literally just play the TF better than whoever you've got on TF. Like, I mean, Shanks is pretty good in terms of a mid laner, and he's been completely embarrassed by this, to be completely honest. So, you know, we do see Breathe jump in, though, trying to do something on Flandre. It does do a lot of damage. We can't see the HP bars because they are overlapped, but Flandre is doing a massive amount of damage now on missing. Mako manages to peel perfectly. Breathe uses his flash to try and get there. Ezreal ult comes in, and, you know, Jace is going to potentially drop here. Why are they taking a fight when they have Baron? Oh, God, they do manage to get this Ocean Solo, which is okay, considering if they can wait for Flandre to respawn, considering he has his TP, he will be able to get in, so they can continue sieging this base now with their Baron, and it's not as big of a loss, to be honest. So here's this fight, so missing just way out of position, does get caught by Scout. Braum ult into an Everfrost, and then he just manages to catch him. Doesn't lose any HP. Breathe does get caught there, and Aphelios does do a massive amount of damage. Unfortunately, Breathe wasn't in range for the Gale Force from Aphelios. He used it way too slow, and that meant that he didn't manage to get it. GG, again, he's just jumping in and out. I think this is one of the best champions GG can actually play, which is kind of crazy considering it's Lee Sin and he's very difficult. But as you can see here, they just chase it down. GG actually puts in work here, managed to use his Iron Will to just give him that shield that allows him to survive long enough to kill there too. Now Jace is respawned now, and Silas is going to try and pick on this Camille. Now she does have a GA up, which I think is a bit grief considering if she dies in it, she's just going to die again to this roster from EDG. So a bit risky all round, but they do have Baron, they do have Ocean Soul. It is looking very convincing for them now. Again, this game was a little bit rough, and I'm very excited to watch the FPX versus EDG game tomorrow in the Grand Finals. But I do want to see how EDG play against FPX, because I already know from when I was doing my group draw kind of discussion that EDG did actually win LPL. So very intrigued to see what happened there, because I would have put FPX as a favourite to win Worlds, but maybe they won't if EDG make it to finals with them. So it's a case of, will Flandre get punished enough by Western teams or Korean teams, which Dam1 has this playstyle where they heavily impact top lane, and this is kind of one of the reasons why they're so successful, to be honest, is because a lot of these top laners in kind of like LPL are a lot weaker, considering ADCs and mids are so good. So because ADC and mids are just such a high level, and jungle, to be honest, they usually end up carrying these games, which means top lane very rarely is the deciding factor. Now, if you can get somebody like Khan, Superhead, and Showmaker on a scaling pick, then I think they still have the potential to just win Worlds again, to be honest, and do the back-to-back win. We shall see, though, because FPX, again, FPX have Naguri top lane, who is one of, if not the best top laner in the world, in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of other people as well. So maybe we see that happen, maybe not. We will see. But I think overall this game is going to be a very stable win for the side of EDG. Right, so, I mean, WE looking for one last push. Honestly, I think, even though, I mean, the gold difference is actually substantial. 3k gold lead is still pretty big, especially considering the amount of gold value they're getting out of this Ocean Soul as well. I'm very much looking forward to Worlds, where we don't know the outcome of the games. I think it's going to be way better. Obviously, I've tried my best to not know the outcome of these games, considering I've never really watched them before watching them on stream. But obviously, when teams like EDG are at Worlds and WE, and it kind of ruins the narrative a little bit due to the fact that, you know, I can't not know because WE are the Worlds. So I can't wait till Worlds games. We're going to be reviewing every single one of them as best possible. I mean, I might have to go back over some of them considering I have quite a lot of things that I potentially need to do. But overall, I'm going to try and cover every single one of them. So we'll see how that goes. So we do see EDG looking to end the game out. Elder is spawning in 11 seconds. Elder is more important than Baron here. And this is the final straw for the side of WE. Elder provides way more value because even if you have Baron, you cannot take a fight against a team with Elder. WE know that they can't trade that, so they're at least can't contest that, so they're at least trying to look to trade, but EDG are just going to snowball down bot lane now. Like, they can literally just force a base race and they'll win against Camille. They are resetting, they have Baron buff, but this is going to be the end of the game. There is a wave pushing in here and they are going to be able to just instantly kill this tower and the inhibitor as well. Sylas does manage to steal Braun's ult, so they can't even engage on, so their entire all-in comp has been completely negated by the Sylas now. And then we see it, 1 kill down, and they're just gonna get popped. We do see a stopwatch come from Scout, considering he jumped in so heavy, but Beishang is gonna drop. Not quite, unfortunately. But they are just gonna go and re-get the wave. Flandre can keep pushing out now. Scout is gonna reset and TP back in when this minion hits the tower. If it hits the tower. Unfortunately not. They do have a wave in mid lane though. They can get another inhib based on the fact that, you know, they've kept them in the base with the bottom inhib. Really good siege macro by the side of EDG just to get this pushed in. Now there's going to be 2 super minions pushing up now, and remember they still have the Elder Dragon. So Scout does just quickly get rid of the Olaf ult just so they can get another one that's useful. He does try and get the Ezreal, but he doesn't manage to land his E. Massive amount of damage coming through onto Beishang though. GG does take a lot, but there's a lot of shields coming in from the Locket especially. And they're just going to look to keep this pressure up. They can back out right now and just go into this top lane, to be honest. They can reset, get their HP back, go top. And there's already 2 inhibitors gone. Camille is trying to jump in. Does manage to get a pick, but Maiko jumps in instantly, and they are still fighting against an Elder Dragon, so Breathe is going to instantly drop. He does have GA, but it doesn't matter. Scout does drop too, but in enough time to kill them off, and that's the game. W trying to fight EDG when they have Elder is crazy. Elk is putting in work, but the Elder Dragon is just too strong. And there we have it. A clean, well, not clean ace, but an ace. We'll get TP come in from Flandre just to keep that minion alive and as healthy as possible. And there we have it, the semi-finals winners. EDG now, if you look at the stats, this looks like a very convincing game, but I don't think it was. And I think when put against top laners that are going to be able to punish Flandre a lot, then I do think that EDG have the potential to not be as good as people are hyping them up. But they are still a very strong team, and Scout is crazy good at keeping them in games. So all around, pretty good game. We'll